somebody's elected and the next election comes. Okay? Also, for those of you who are planning to study at some point international affairs, and I hope you do, because it's a very noble discipline, understand that democracy is not only at the most top level of national or federal dimensions. Actually, what I've observed in the countries that I travel is that democracy is much more visible, is much more palpable at local levels, because you're able to see basically the power of that partnership between people and government. I always bring, Betty has heard me already, Switzerland is a country that actually I visited a couple of times, and I'm always kind of surprised to see how little power their president and their federal government have. But when you go to a county, which is the lowest form of government in Switzerland, my God, how interesting that, and they're not perfect societies. They have issues, they have problems. But they find a way, even in meetings like this. I attended a couple of meetings in which they were discussing basically educational budget at a county level. And you should see those conversations between the people and the deciders. Phenomenal.
Our country has too much freedom for its people, like where the government doesn't have enough control over what's going on. I think there's a point where it gets to, they can make too many.
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah. The question was whether I know of a country that actually has too much freedom in a way that they can lose control. I think the beauty of, at least one of the elements that is the basis for our own analysis, which is, if you haven't read it, I just encourage you to read it, is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is a document signed by many countries, including the United States. And in that document, what you see is that freedom has to have certain, let's say, checks and balances, right? Otherwise, it becomes, in political science, there is a book that is very famous called Leviathan. I don't know if you read it, but Leviathan is this figure, this mystical figure, that it is a society that lives in constant chaos. So if I look at Finland, which is the country that constantly has got 100 in the score in our studies, and I was visiting the ambassador because one of the other awards that we're going to give this year in Freedom House is to the president of Finland for having consistently gotten 100 in the scorecard. So I asked the ambassador in Washington, how would she describe freedom in Finland? Why are you getting always 100%, right? And she was very, simple words, said, well, we find community. I think we are always caring for each other. Everybody knows that irrespective of what you want to do, you can do it. It's right there. But what she didn't say, which is actually something that I wanted to say, is freedom is expensive. Finland is a country in which basically has one of the highest tax rates in the world. So if you earn $100, for example, maybe in your pocket you will have only 30. However, as a youngster, you guarantee free education in college, free healthcare, not free because you're paying your taxes, opportunities if you want to go to a trade school, for example, if you want to travel. So your worries as a citizen in terms of how do I save money, and that $30 that you're left with is something that you can do. But certainly, even that has systems to control it. And so I think let's say the extreme concept of freedom is, in my opinion, a country that is Finland, in a sense, that is certainly a democracy that elects leaders. It continuously renews its leadership, and it offers people opportunities in areas of life and livelihood that are important for every human being, in a sense, right? And so, but if you're interested in chaos and freedom, read Leviathan is the name of the book. You can Google it. It's very interesting. But great question. Yeah.